the adjustments on the top. You've got a rise and lowering capacity on it. You also got a tilting capacity on it. The tilting capacity has enabled you to track the blade. Once you get it set, I tend not to touch the tilting if at all possible, but if you can tilt the top wheel towards you or away from you, it means you can ride the actual blade on different parts of the rubber, so you're not wearing the same part each time you put a blade on. The blades, important part of the situation. You see this blade here, it's a very, very fine blade. It's quite unsuitable for what we want. We're doing scroll work, cutting circles and curves, etc. You're better off getting a blade that's 3/8 of an inch to 1/2 inch wide, but only 3 or 4 teeth per inch. We used to order 3/8 or 1/2 inch skip tooth blades, 3 or 4 TPI. They will cut scrolls a lot better than this fine thing. Now, that fine blade, when you buy a bandsaw, a woodworking bandsaw, while we assume that it's a woodworking blade in it, it's not always. Quite often they're metalworking blades. Now, I don't know whether this is current, but 20 years ago when I was in the business, there was no tariff on metalworking bandsaws, and there was a tariff on woodworking bandsaws. So the importers would bring metalworking bandsaws in, and with metalworking blades, and sell them as woodworking bandsaws. And I'd like to know how many people out there didn't know that they had a metalworking blade in their woodworking bandsaw. Okay, if you have a close look at the guide system on here, you'll find that you've got 2 side supports there. They should just be missing the side of your blade. Old wood machining teacher told me if you could get a cigarette paper in there, that's how close you want. You don't want it binding on the blade because that's going to create heat, and that will eventually damage the blade as well as the guides. At the back here, you'll find there's another wheel. Some of them are on their edge, some of them are on their flat. That's called the thrust wheel. Now, when you put the blade inside the side supports, all right, who's got a pencil? Pen, that'll do. With your profile of your teeth, if that's your teeth, you'll find that's what they call the gullet, that section there. You'll find that your blade has set on it from about the bottom of your gullet. Okay, that means that the teeth, one goes that way, one goes the other way, all the way along. That's your set, like a tenon saw, etc. Now you want to set these guides up so they're just behind the back of your gullet. You don't want these guides fouling up here. You're not getting a better or more secure position. Well, what you're trying to avoid is having your side supports anywhere near where the set on the blade is. Okay. Now when you put pressure on the blade, that's where this thrust wheel comes in. That stops the blade being pushed back further into the guide system. Okay. These jet ones are generally better quality than your average price Taiwanese ones, such as I won't mention any names. I bought a Carbotech bandsaw, and I made a mistake. There was a guy in the class who was a pretty smart cookie. He was an engineer, and he recommended it, and he said he'd been using it. And without doing my homework, I went and bought one. And these systems here were all very thin die-cast alloy rather than steel. And Carbotech do have one with a steel guide and guard system, and I've replaced it about 3 times because it just snaps. So that's something that I kick myself. This here is simple to raise and fall. When you're setting up your guide and your guard system, you want it just clearing the surface of your timber. If you're using a community bandsaw, you might find that the person that was operating it before you was cutting a thick piece of timber. You've got to adjust that for safety and for performance down to just over the thickness. You don't want all that extra movement in the blade if you're only cutting a thin piece. So you move it down, so not only your guides that are guiding your wheel, but also your guarding all down there, so that it's less chance of you cutting yourself on the blade. Okay. All right, now let's